For months, the Mass Casualty Commission has faced criticism from the families, but that criticism became much louder yesterday and actually halted proceedings. Let's go to Halifax and Brett Ruskin, who has the latest there. Brett, good morning.
Good morning, Heather. Louder indeed. We had family members who disrupted, as you said, proceedings yesterday. Keep in mind that what we can show you on TV, what people who are streaming these proceedings can see is one camera shot of the commissioners sitting at a table, another camera shot of the witness sitting at a table. But for reporters who have been there, for members of the public who have been there, it's a large banquet hall, dozens of tables, dozens of chairs, some for lawyers, some for families who have been there watching, listening, scrutinizing these proceedings. And so yesterday, when the public liaison officer, the RCMP member who was in charge of sharing information between the RCMP and the families of the victims, he was on the stand, and one of the widows of one of the victims, Nick Beaton, whose wife was killed, Kristen Beaton, a pregnant woman, one of the many victims of this shooting. The public information officer was on the witness stand, and Nick Beaton didn't think that he was being accurate with his testimony. Here's what he said. Here's what other families said as well.
He had wanted to see the vehicle.
You're under oath there, Wayne. No.
No interruptions, please.
Under oath.
That's enough. That's enough.
Not enough. No, this is enough. This whole bull.
So, swearing, storming out of the proceedings had to take a break, things to cool down, and then resumed a short time later. But you can see that frustrations are bubbling up once again after that. The boycott and the picketing outside of the proceedings that took place a few weeks ago, and just the overall unhappiness or frustration from family members.
So that is the frustration at the commission and how it's being handled, Brett. What about the families and their sense of how the RCMP has handled the response, the support the police have given them? Where do they fall there?
Well, yeah, so we actually, from the RCMP side of things, from what the RCMP did to support those families has been called into question a little bit as well by some of the families of the victims. We can't speak to all of their experiences, but we know a couple of examples. For example, Tom Bagley, he was killed, one of the victims of this shooting. His daughter was told some confusing information about why he was found without any shoes or boots on his feet. So here's what the RCMP told his daughter.
We were told that for my father's boots, which was a main question I had, that sometimes when people get shot, that their boots fly off. That was one of his responses to me.
How did that make you feel?
Like he thought I was an idiot.
So some certainly confusing, frustrating details there for that family member. Now, one more point in terms of the distribution of resources to assist the victims' families. The RCMP appointed 2 people to help support the family of Constable Heidi Stevenson. That is the police officer who was killed in this shooting. They appointed 1 person to act as the public liaison officer for the remaining 21 victims' families. And so the person who was in charge of that task said that it was reasonable and that he wanted to ensure that all of the families got the same consistent messaging. But certainly some of the families say that they didn't receive all the information that they needed to get, and that it's been difficult and a frustrating process overall. Heather.
Thank you, Brett. Brett Ruskin in Halifax.